Hello, Peaceful Valley Church. It's Monday. We're beginning a new week. What a beautiful day it is. I know that life is still not back to normal, but we're still engaging in life nonetheless. I had advised people yesterday in our sermon to look at Psalm 104 to learn about God. And so we're going to do that this morning. Please turn in your Bibles to Psalm chapter 104. What I had advised us to do is to look for statements like you are, or God is, or he is. Those kind of statements teach us about the nature of God. And we see in Psalm 104, there's a few. And the psalmist will make the statement, God, you are, and then he will explain for a few verses. What does that mean in the world that we have? Because God is this, we see all this take place, or all this other stuff is true, or however he wants to put it here. But in Psalm 104, he opens up with a very clear statement. So Psalm 104, I'm going to read the first 4 verses. Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord my God, you are very great. You are clothed with splendor and majesty, covering yourself with light as with a garment, stretching out the heavens like a tent. He lays the beams of his chambers on the waters. He makes the clouds his chariot. He rides on the wings of the wind, and he makes his messengers winds, his messengers a flaming fire. If you're looking for a you are statement, it's right here in verse 1. O Lord my God, you are very great. That's about as easy picking as you can find. What do we learn about God in verse 1? That God is great. This word great, that's the best translation for it. He's majestic, he's wonderful, he's big, he's enormous, he's valuable, he's weighty, he's great. God, you are very great. Very great. And in fact, that phrase doesn't quite seem to carry the weight that we would expect it to. We use the word very all the time. But what he's trying to communicate here is he's the greatest. And if you wonder at that, just read the rest of the chapter. And he's going to talk about all the ways that he has looked out. He's looked at the sea, and he's looked at the rivers, and he's looked at the trees, and he's looked at the animals, and he's even gotten specific, the stork and the rock badger. And he continues on. We look at how you see the ships on the ocean, and Leviathan playing in the sea, and God's providing for all these things. Only God can care for those things if he is very great. And we're talking the greatest. He is the very greatest. That's the kind of God that Psalm 104 has identified. In fact, that's an attribute about God that the psalmist identified in Psalm 104. If you were going to be paying attention to this, how does that strike you? God being very great. In our lives, when we get distracted by something, that thing that we're distracted by seems really important. It seems great. It seems valuable. It seems great. And what is the thing that you were distracted by? Was it the mess in the house? Was it a project at work that didn't quite work out the way you wanted it to? Was it your schedule got hindered somehow? Was it your compare it to God. How great is it? In reality, it's not great. The things that we get distracted by are not great. But we see that because of God's greatness, he not only cares about the sea, he also cares about the little sea creatures and what they eat. Because God is great, he is capable of caring for the big, but he's also capable of caring for the small. And so, again, how does that hit you today? The thing that you've got on your mind, that you're really working hard to figure out, is it a great deal? Is it a significant issue? God is bigger than it, and he is capable of dealing with it. Maybe the thing that you've been distracted by, you've come to realize it's a tiny little issue. But the reality is, God cares for that tiny little issue too. He is so great, He can handle the sea and the little things that the sea creatures eat. So no matter what you're going through today, the God that you worship, the God who knows you and cares for you and loves you and provides for you, he is so great. He can deal with the big stuff. He can deal with the little stuff. And he's asked you to trust him. So what do you do about that today? You can spend time in prayer today, praying for the big issues, the seemingly unfixable relationships, the bad financial stuff that's going on. Maybe you're in debt. Maybe you have a decision to make. Maybe there's physical issues that need dealt with. Bodily physical, house physical, car physical, all the physical stuff. And it seems like a huge deal. Trust God. Your prayers should reflect your knowledge that God can take care of those things. He can also take care of the small things. He can take care of this little meal, or this little tear, or this little broken thing, or this little issue, or this all the little. And so the prayer about those things become important also. And whether you pray about the big or the little, trust that God has those things taken care of, and he can take care of them perfectly. That means that as soon as you're done with that prayer, you can get back to engaging in your activity with an uplifted spirit. You've trusted that God's going to take care of it, and so as you go through life, he is taking care of it. You can now make decisions, and you can now set expectations, and you can celebrate victories, all because you know God has it taken care of. Why? Because, oh Lord my God, you are very great. He, the great God, has taken care of you, and he will continue to take care of you. What an encouraging truth that we have to rely on today. My prayer for you today is that this truth would carry you through. That discouragement and despair, doubt, frustration would melt away, and you can walk through the rest of your day in the joy of knowing that God has you held, the hope that he will continue to hold you, the peace that comes from knowing that the great God is with you. May this truth carry you through the rest of your day. And I pray that God would do things in your life today to show you that he is taking care of you. May God be with us today. Have a good day, Peaceful Valley Church. Goodbye.